Hi everyone, I hope that you're well. My name is Christianne and welcome to my channel Backpacking Bananas. I am currently backpacking Peru and I have just spent the last entire month in the city of Cusco. I'm having a really hard time leaving because I've just loved it here so much and I've been trying my absolute best to discover the city as best as I can during my time here to put together for you an ultimate travel guide to Cusco. So sit back and get ready to make some notes because I have a lot of recommendations coming your way. Cusco is located in the south of Peru. It's very easily accessible either by plane, where you can fly in from Lima, or there are many bus routes where you can come on a night bus from Nazca, Arequipa, Puno, or even Copacabana in Bolivia. Cusco sits at around 3,400 meters in elevation, which is pretty high for a city, so you will definitely feel the altitude, especially going up the hills. I wouldn't say it's quite high enough for altitude medication to be necessary. However, some of the many excursions that you can do are even higher in altitude where medication may be recommended. So where should you stay in Cusco? It looks pretty intimidating on the map, but the best place that you can stay is in the Centro Histórico. You know where it's highlighted yellow on Google Maps? Staying anywhere here is a good shout. The center of the action is the Plaza de Armas, so I would personally recommend being within a 10-minute walk from here, so you will hardly ever have to get a taxi. Just be aware that in this whole area north of Plaza de Armas goes pretty steeply uphill in a hurry, so if you choose to go this side, get prepared for a good amount of hill walking. There are hostels to suit every interest. If you're a big party goer, Wild Rover is absolutely the best place to stay. They have the biggest, wildest parties. I will warn you, it's a bitch of a hill to climb up to get there though. If you are a bougie backpacker who wants the highest quality amenities, Selina is always the safest bet. I always feel comfortable in Selina's. They have events going on, always great Wi-Fi, comfy beds, good cafe. The Selina Plaza de Armas is really well located in Cusco, although it is one of the priciest hostels. The consistently best rated hostel in Cusco is Cocopelli. This is a chain across Peru and they are the best all-rounders. Good amenities, good atmosphere, good breakfast, reasonably priced, well located. The only issue with all of this though is that you often need to book in advance for Cocopelli. It's quite hard just to rock up and book for the next day. If you are on a slightly tighter budget but still want something good quality, intro hostels are a really good shout. My personal favourite in town was the Now Victoria hostel. It was the absolute best located hostel right next to the Plaza de Armas and on a road full of great bars and restaurants. The rooms were really high quality, clean and good amenities. It may not be everyone's cup of tea as it's quite a quiet hostel and they don't run any events, but it's well priced and right in the middle of the action. It feels like a bit of a safe haven amongst the chaos, and for that reason it was my personal fave. Special mention also to Supertramp Hostel. This hostel has the best views in town and has a really cool social vibe. However, it is up an absolute bitch of a hill, so it wasn't exactly ideal for that reason. However, I did get to discover a few of the awesome restaurants and cafes that are high up on a hill in the San Blas region of Cusco whilst I was staying here, and so that was cool to see a part of town that I wouldn't normally be bothered enough to walk up to. So if you're in Cusco, most likely you are here to do one or a few of the many exciting excursions. Cusco is great in itself, but really it is the hub to the whole surrounding area. The most famous, arguably, being to visit the Sacred Valley of the Incas. You have Machu Picchu, of course, a cultural and natural UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new 7 wonders of the world. You can visit Machu Picchu as a day trip from Cusco with or without a bit of hiking. There are loads of options to choose from to suit your interests. Tickets to Machu Picchu do tend to sell out weeks in advance, so if nothing else, try to book your ticket early for this. If they still have the stupid circuit system in place when you book your ticket, just don't book Circuit 4. It's the only one which does not give you access to the classic viewpoint. All circuits cost the same price. Circuits 1, 2 or 3 is fine. If you have the opportunity to add on Huayna Picchu Mountain as well, I would highly recommend it. It's an absolute bitch to climb, super steep. You definitely need to be relatively fit to do it, but if you feel up to the challenge, it is so worth it as you have an awesome view of Machu Picchu from an alternate angle. If you have the time and fitness levels though, I would highly recommend doing one of the famous treks to Machu Picchu. You have the world-renowned Inca Trail. This takes 4 days. It is the most iconic, but this sells out absolutely months in advance. There are limited spaces, so you do have to book this around 6 months in advance. advance, it's also the most expensive at typically around $600 depending on the company that you book with. If you are not looking to spend that much money and not looking to book quite that far in advance, a popular alternative is the Salcantay trek to Machu Picchu. In fact, for these reasons, the Salcantay is a lot more popular with backpackers and the Inca Trail is more popular with short holiday makers. The full Salcantay trek typically costs around $300 and the full trek is 5 days. People say that the Salcantay is actually more beautiful. One of the sites you get to pass is the Umantay Lake, which is one of the most beautiful landscapes I've ever witnessed in my life. It is also said to be more difficult than the Inca Trail as it's much longer. You are covering 70 kilometers over 5 days, so it's quite intense, but it's incredible. I would highly recommend it. And you can normally book as little as a few days in advance. However, I would recommend booking a few weeks in advance just to make sure that you get the Machu Picchu tickets that you want. I booked with Machu Picchu Reservations, who I would highly recommend for backpackers. As well as Machu Picchu, there are hundreds of other Inca ruins to explore in the Sacred Valley. You can take day trips or multi-day trips from Cusco to visit these. Pisac is well worth a visit, about an hour away from Cusco. You can literally just grab a colectivo from Cusco in the morning and do this excursion yourself. The other most popular excursion to head on from Cusco is to Rainbow Mountain and the Red Valley, also known as Vinicunca. This is an excursion you can arrange yourself in a taxi, but honestly, I actually think it's more cost efficient to do a tour. It's a 3-hour journey to get there from Cusco, and when you arrive, it takes around 2 hours to the hike to the top of Rainbow Mountain. This hike is extremely high in altitude, so although it's not that long or steep, you're hiking between 4,700 meters to 5,100 meters. So the air is thin and it is very difficult. You can pay extra to get a donkey up. However, the donkey doesn't even drop you right at the top, which to me seems a bit pointless. For this reason, I would only recommend doing this excursion if you are relatively fit and not hungover. Very important. But it's super cool. Such iconic views. It's bloody cold though, bring warm layers. And when you're there, you have the opportunity to walk back through the Red Valley. It costs a little bit extra, but it is so worth it. I've never seen a landscape like this in my life. It looks like another planet. But let's now bring this conversation back to the city of Cusco. What is there to do when you are just chilling in the city itself? Well, firstly, you actually have a part of the Sacred Valley right on your doorstep. All you gotta do is get your ass up into action because it's a 20-minute incline walk up the hill towards the big Jesus on the hill, and you will get to the Sexy Woman. Yes, it sounds like sexy women, which are well worth an explore as something to do for half a day. But if you've just arrived in town, the best way to find your feet would be to do a free walking tour of the city. This is always a great way to get your bearings and learn a bit of history. Most hostels and hotels will organize these, or you can just walk into the center of Plaza de Armas and a million vendors will be offering you one. What you will also be offered a million times while walking through the center is a massage, or a mesaje in Espanol. These are super common in Cusco and also super affordable, so I would highly recommend going at some point, especially if you've just done lots of hiking. You can get a 1-hour traditional Inca massage, including hot stones, for 80 soles. I liked going to Nueva Vida personally, but honestly, there's so many in town. Just read the Google reviews beforehand to get an idea of what they're like. You can also get manicures and pedicures and waxes in these places, so Cusco is a great place to pamper yourself. Also in town, you can attend a Peruvian cooking class. I know the Choco Museo does a good one. And there are also a bunch of museums that you can check out, such as the Inca Museum, the Pre-Colombino Art Museum, the Chocolate Museum, the Religious Art Museum, the Museum of Contemporary Art. I could go on, but there are so many museums to visit in Cusco. So we know we're not going to get bored of activities, but where should we go to eat? Well, you're in luck, my friends. Cusco has one of the best gastronomy scenes I've ever experienced in a small city. I have eaten so much delicious food here, but let me share with you a few of my favorites to point you in the right direction. Okay, so hands down, my favorite restaurant in town has to be Morena. It's a super cool restaurant with a really trendy modern decor, chilled ambiance, the absolute best service, and traditional Peruvian food that will literally have you moaning as you eat. It tastes so damn good. I don't know how they do it. The alpaca risotto is to die for, as is the seafood rice. The bruschetta, oh my god, and the churros, oh my dear lord, I'm salivating just thinking about it. This restaurant is on the pricier side, so it's definitely a bit of a treat, but it's so worth it, trust me. Another Peruvian restaurant with an outstanding service and delicious food, a bit more fine dining, is Cusikai. Again, this is on the pricier side, so definitely a treat. Also Siciolina, same vibe, just exquisite. Peruvian food also. They also have great tapas options. They also have the Siciolina Cafe where you can get a bougie breakfast. And if you want some high quality Peruvian food but in a more chilled setting, I think Per.uk is a great low-key option. I felt super comfortable in here as a solo diner, which I don't always feel in nice dinner restaurants, you know? On the complete other side of the spectrum, if you want some good Peruvian food but you're on a big budget or just looking for the daily nosh, you can head to San Pedro Market. Not only is this a good spot for some local shopping, you can also get delicious juices and big plates of food like rice, meat, avo, onions, all for 9 soles. Look for the arroz con huevos sign closer to the back of the market. It's such good value and a really good budget option. I'm pretty sure I went to almost every sushi/Japanese place in town, and there are some winners that need to be crowned. Best sushi goes to Wado Sushi Restaurant. Lovely staff and the sushi is just mouth-watering. And best ramen and non-sushi Japanese dishes goes to Yokomo Restaurant. Well done to all the contenders. Cusco also has some brilliant Italian options. By far the best here is Carpe Diem. You have to go here at least once in Cusco. The pizza and pasta is so damn good and fresh, and they have some really unique dishes to try. Another popular favorite is La Bodega 138, which I'd say is good for more of the classic Italian dishes, your bolognese, your carbonara, your margherita pizza. I've also heard Incanto is great Italian. I didn't get the chance to try it though. You may have heard people eating guinea pig in Peru, and yes, this is very much a thing. This seemed like quite the occasion to us, trying guinea pig for the first time. So we took ourselves to the place to eat guinea pig, a restaurant called Cuyeria Sabor Moqueguano. I hope I'm saying that correctly. They literally only sell guinea pig, fried or oven baked. Is it weird to say it kind of tasted like duck and was kind of delicious, despite the absolute atrocity it looks on the plate? When it comes to the lighter lunchtime eats, I have a bunch more recommendations. I'm obviously not vegan, but I love going to vegan restaurants for tasty, fresh, creative lunch options. And by far the best vegan restaurant is Greenpoint. It's actually stunning in there, and the food is really great as well. I'm also a bit of a fan of Avocado Toast and More, which serves exactly what the name suggests. They are the first avocado bar in Peru, so all the dishes revolve around avocados, and they are great. If you fancy falafel wraps and hummus, there is a spot called Grain Falafel up on the hill, which will satisfy all of your cravings there. I think my favorite of all of these cafes though is Kura. I liked the chilled vibe in there. The service and the food was great, and the Wi-Fi and upload speed was the fastest of all the places that I visited in town. Funnily enough, the owner actually was really interested in the fact I was working there and told me he opened up the first co-living space for digital nomads in Cusco, which he markets on Airbnb. I wish I had more time to check this out because I think it sounded like such a good concept for people living and working online in Cusco. On the other end of the spectrum, I went into Starbucks to work once, and the Wi-Fi was absolutely atrocious. I wouldn't normally recommend Starbucks over Independence anyway, but with shit Wi-Fi, that's even less of a reason to visit. Somewhere always popular for lunch is Jack's Cafe. I often see a queue outside, and they sell traditional breakfast food in big portions, so if you're hungry, head here. And if you want lunch with great views, head to Limbus Resto Bar. It's a bit of a relentless climb, but quite glorious once you're up there. But Christianne, what if I just want a really nice coffee and cake? Where should I go? I got you, my friends. I'm a fan of the cool, calm coffee shops with local Peruvian coffee blends and good vibes. My faves being Three Monkeys Coffee Cusco. They have a gorgeous little courtyard to enjoy a coffee and a cake. Also, Florencia y Fortunata Cafe is a lovely spot to retreat. If you're up on the hill, you can get a great coffee at Barrio Cafe. It's tiny but cute and good coffee. And then I'd also recommend Cafe Duwazi, close to Plaza de Armas, for a great local blend in a more traditional coffee shop setting. But we're not done there. When I tell you Cusco has something to suit your every wish and occasion, I really mean it. If you just want some kind of dessert, the first place you can head is Cucharitas. They have all the dessert options that you can think of to satisfy your craving. Then just across the way, you also have La Casa de los Crepes Orgánicos, aka the Creperia. This guy knows how to make a banging crepe. Or for a more traditional Peruvian dessert, you can get picarrones at Picarrones Ruinas. It's like a syrupy donut but made with sweet potato and squash, you gotta try it. So you've stuffed yourself to the max with delicious food, and now you want to go out for a drink. I got you, my friends. Once again, Cusco has a bar for every occasion. Peru is of course famous for the pisco sour, and arguably the best one in town you can get at República del Pisco, of course. They have really great live music in here, but it's also super loud, so don't expect to get in a good conversation, but it is good vibes. The other place to go for live music is Berlin. They often have live salsa music in here, which is really fun if you want to salsa with someone. My favorite place to go for some pre-drinks was La Chupateria, aka the shop bar. They have great deals on all of their cocktails and they are strong. The music they play in there is also so fun, and they also just literally give you shots for fun. And then right next door you have Los Perros, which I also really like. It's a bit more low-key, it's filled with comfy seats, so you can get a bit cozier, but still a fairly lively vibe. But if you do want something a lot classier and low-key, I recommend the Rosso bar, which is the cheese and wine bar. You sit on high chairs around these wine barrels and sip delicious wine, and they give you bite-sized cheese chunks to nibble on. I really like it in there. It's a great date setting, as is Black Cat, just next door. It's a tiny bar, but it's chill and classy and comfy sofas, and the cocktails are amazing. And if you're ready to head to the club, Chango's is the place. It's the biggest club in town. There is often a queue outside. You may need to pay between 10 to 30 soles for entry depending on the day and time, but this is where everyone ends up. Or if you're not a fan of pop music, there's actually a techno club, much smaller, much more secret. It's really for the techno fans. It's called Casa Tizoc. And as for the general tips in Cusco, really be careful on the cobbled stones in Cusco. They are absolutely relentless. I rolled over my ankle twice walking along the streets, spraining it in the process, and I for sure was not the only one. I heard too many stories of this happening to others. It's not the hiking trails that you need to be afraid of, it's the cobbled stones. And as for the weather, I found it to be super sunny and dry in Cusco the majority of the time. It was glorious, really. In the daytime, it is an absolutely perfect temperature in the low 20s. You can comfortably walk around town in shorts and t-shirt. However, because of the altitude, it gets very, very chilly in the evening. You want long trousers, a base layer, and a jacket. I would get very chilly in the evenings in Cusco. This goes for all of Peru, but I'd recommend getting cash out at the BCP ATMs. They are the only ones I've found that don't charge a withdrawal fee. With the other banks, you can expect to pay around 18 soles per withdrawal. You can use Uber to get around the city, and if you do get a taxi, I recommend having one that has been organized by your accommodation, so you're not just trusting random vehicles on the street. But if you're staying in the center, you will barely have to be concerned about getting taxis because everything is just walkable. And anyway, that's it. This is the conclusion to my ultimate guide to Cusco. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you found it useful, and subscribe to my channel for more Peru content and just more backpacking content around the world. I'm now moving on from Cusco, sadly, in my next video, and I will see you then. Bye bye!